On the day we were supposed to live stream our marriage registration, my boyfriend Ethan stood me up in front of tens of thousands of online viewers. It was only because his stepmother, Victoria, was emotionally unstable. He even scolded me in front of the live stream viewers. Don't you have any sense of priority? If something happens to her, will you take responsibility? I closed the live stream, only to see a message from a powerful figure from the city's elite. Don't run. Wait for me. Later, Ethan finally settled his so-called stepmother, but then he saw the powerful figure from the city's elite dry heaving during an interview, with no discernible cause. I posted on Twitter to reassure my fans. His sympathetic morning sickness has been quite severe since I got pregnant. Sorry to make you laugh. I heard that Ethan stood outside my doorstep all night in the rain, crying and laughing, like he had gone mad. On the day we decided to get our marriage certificate, Ethan suggested we live stream the registration. Confused, I looked at him as he took my hand and smiled faintly. Everyone has been shipping us as a couple for so long. Now that we're getting married, we naturally should give them ultimate fan service. Also, that couple's reality show that invited us earlier wants us to live stream our marriage registration and use the footage as a teaser for the show. Ethan and I had once collaborated on a series with a tragic ending. The series was incredibly popular, and many people were unsatisfied with our ending, leading them to start shipping us as a couple. Some viewers even voluntarily created a fandom hashtag, hoping Ethan and I could have a happy ending in real life. To cooperate with promotion, Ethan and I met more and more frequently, and after a while, we naturally became a couple. I didn't overthink it and readily agreed. I even posted a live stream preview, announcing the good news. Soon after the preview was released, reservations surged, quickly making it a trending topic across major platforms. Many netizens exclaimed that Ethan and I had made up for their regrets from watching the series. I turned off my phone and straightened the dress I was going to wear for the registration again and again. But what I didn't expect was that Ethan stood me up. The live stream had been on for an hour. I stood in the city hall lobby, dialing Ethan's phone number repeatedly, but no one answered. The comments section was already filled with people expressing strong dissatisfaction with Ethan's behavior. Are you kidding me? Ethan is late even for his marriage registration? Being late for your marriage registration is truly disrespectful. Emma looks like she's about to cry. I came here for some sweet moments, but now it feels like I'm about to swallow a knife. Watching the comments continuously scroll across the screen, I took a deep breath and dialed Ethan's number one last time. This time, it connected. Ethan sounded a bit breathless. Emma, my stepmother is in a very bad state right now. I'm afraid today. I interrupted him. Ethan, are you really going to stand me up? Ethan was silent for a long moment, and faintly, the sound of breaking porcelain could be heard from the other end of the line. I repeated, today is the day we get our marriage certificate. You said it. Live stream it. Are you really going to stand me up? Perhaps thinking I was being too aggressive, Ethan began to impatiently snap at me. Can't you prioritize? If something happens to her, how will I explain it to Richard? The commotion on his end grew louder. Ethan didn't bother to talk to me anymore and hung up in a hurry. I turned my back, composed myself, then turned back to the camera and smiled. The live stream is cancelled. My studio's Twitter has prepared a giveaway for everyone. Please feel free to participate. Thank you. Realizing I had been stood up, the comments section exploded, but I didn't read a single one. Reaching out to turn off the live stream, just as I was about to put my phone away, an unknown number sent me a message. I'll be there soon. 3 minutes. Wait for me. Don't run. If you run, you'll be arranging my funeral. That familiar tone made me pause. As if possessed, I stayed, because the live stream was suddenly interrupted. Ethan and I were once again sent to the trending topics. Hashtag Ethan stood her up. Hashtag Emma livestream cancelled. Hashtag meet couple tragic ending. Hashtag everyone was criticizing Ethan's irresponsible behavior. This time, Ethan didn't disappear. He quickly issued an apology statement and tagged me. His statement was full of sincerity, and some die-hard fan couple forum fans came to persuade me to give him another chance, but I ignored them all. Instead, when Ethan sent me an apology message, I posted a picture of a marriage certificate on Twitter. Married. Thank you everyone. This news was too explosive. The number of tweets in the real-time feed began to surge. OMG. Is Emma really that bold? She just switched grooms? This world has finally become incomprehensible to me. This woman is truly badass. Stood up and immediately found a replacement. Although it's inappropriate, I can't help but laugh thinking that while Ethan's studio was working overtime writing an apology statement, Emma had already registered her marriage with another man. So, who replaced Ethan? Netizens were divided into several camps. Some mocked Ethan, some called me a maniac, and some speculated about my new husband's identity. Gradually, the netizens speculating about his identity gained the upper hand. They began to analyze frame by frame from people I had interacted with, vowing to uncover his identity. Just then, a user named Julian also posted a photo of a marriage certificate with the caption, "At Emma, happy." No one took his tweet seriously. They even started photoshopping and creating memes. Just as everyone was having fun, Vance's official Twitter account retweeted Julian's tweet, @Julian@Emma, wishing our boss and Mrs. Vance a long and happy marriage. To celebrate Vance having a Mrs. Vance, we're drawing 100 lucky netizens in the comments section, each receiving 888 red. Netizens belatedly realized the first person to post the marriage certificate wasn't just creating memes. It was that mysterious powerful figure from the city's elite, Julian. As soon as the conclusion was reached, the Twitter servers instantly crashed. I was forced out of Twitter, only to find that Ethan had sent hundreds of demanding messages. "Emma, you're kidding, right? How could you possibly marry someone else? And you don't even know Julian. Yes, you must be angry with me, tricking me. I know I was wrong. Her emotions are stable now. Shall we pick a day to re-register our marriage? We can still live stream this time, too. I'll cooperate with everything you want." Messages popped up one after another. I frowned. I was too careless that day, busy with the marriage registration. I forgot to block Ethan, not wanting to deal with him anymore. I was about to block him when the man beside me reached out and took my phone. Pressing the voice key, "This is Julian. Stop sending messages to my wife. She finds you disgusting." I was about to take my phone back when I heard him continue, instead of being the legitimate partner. "You want to be the other man? Your interests are quite peculiar, but my wife loves me too much. She won't even glance your way. Come to Vance later to collect a box of wedding candies. Consider it my thanks for making room for me." Ethan was so provoked that he completely fell silent. Julian glanced at me, "You abandoned me and disappeared, only to find this kind of guy?" Looking at the 2 marriage certificates on the table, I was filled with regret. That day, when Ethan stood me up, I had originally planned to leave. I thought I would find a high-priced PR team later, and after some time, no one would care about the incident. Who knew this man had been watching the live stream the entire time and was waiting roadside, not far from City Hall? He had originally planned to crash the wedding, but seeing that I failed to register my marriage, he immediately sent me messages from an unknown number. My mind wasn't clear then, and I actually waited for him. Everything that followed was logical. The first second I walked out of City Hall, I regretted it. How about we go back and get divorced? Julian had been looking at our certificate photos with a smile, but hearing me say that, his face instantly darkened. He tucked the marriage certificate into his chest, his voice turning cold. "Impossible. A psychic told me I'd die if I divorced." I froze, and after a long moment, managed to squeeze out one word, "Huh?" "Julian, die of anger." I was speechless. On the 3rd day of my marriage to Julian, I met Ethan's stepmother. She had arranged a lavish celebrity trailer at the film set, claiming to be my friend, the new assistant. Unaware of the situation and seeing her dressed in luxury brands, believed her and led me to the prearranged coffee shop. The moment I saw her, I turned to leave. Victoria gently stroked her abdomen, catching up to me in a few steps. "Emma, Ethan hasn't been able to eat at home these past 2 days. Don't be mad at him." I dodged her hand reaching for me and smiled. "If he can't eat, you feed him. What's so hard about that?" Victoria's face changed. She softened her tone. "It was only because I was emotionally unstable that day that he stood you up. It's all my fault. You two should pick a day to get your marriage certificate. After marriage, I promise I'll control myself and won't get too close to Ethan." I tried to keep a safe distance from her. Then I said, "Bigamy is illegal. You know, don't you follow the trending topics? Besides, whether she got close to Ethan or not, what did it have to do with me? I didn't want to be a pawn in someone else's game." Victoria seemed to remember something, her expression complex. She looked as if a weight had been lifted. I turned to go downstairs. Victoria chased after me but tripped. Flying forward, I stood by, watching coldly. Sure enough, Ethan walked in through the door the next second. Seeing's disheveled state, he was both anxious and angry. "Emma, it was wrong of me to stand you up, but why do you have to make things difficult for her?" I gestured to the distance between me and Victoria. "Are you blind? I was that far from her. How could I push her? Am I an orangutan?" From the choice of location to Victoria's repeated attempts to grab me, one thing was clear. She wanted to frame me for pushing her. So from the very beginning, I had maintained a safe distance. My phone's recording function was also continuously on. I wouldn't give her a chance to frame me. Ethan acted as if he hadn't heard me, still criticizing me. I'm sorry for what I did to you. We can go get our marriage certificate right now. But if you act like this, how will I explain it to Richard? He was completely insane. I tried to walk around him, but Ethan blocked my path again. I instantly flared up. Are you crazy? If you're so eager to get married, why don't you go get a mental health certificate first? The surrounding customers all turned their gazes toward us. Someone recognized us and started whispering, "Isn't that Ethan and Emma? Who's that lying on the floor? Wow. Did Ethan stand up Emma because of her? So melodramatic and exciting. I love it. Emma is so good at scolding. Ha ha ha. The man is already married, but he's still pestering her to get a marriage certificate. What nerve." Exactly. I watched the whole live stream. He totally deserved it. Wasn't he so arrogant and impatient when he stood her up? Has he regretted it in just a few days? But I didn't see clearly just now. Did actually push her? David, the coffee shop owner, watched for a while, then walked up and thoughtfully handed me a USB drive. Our store has 360-degree security footage. I almost laughed out loud. Ethan was embarrassed but insisted on continuing to pester me. I pushed him away. So annoying. Get lost. If you want to frame me, call the police and have me arrested. With that, I quickly walked outside. The shop owner behind me bravely interjected again. Sir, if you don't go to the hospital soon, this lady will bleed dry. Ethan seemed to have just realized, picked up Victoria, and hurriedly left. I exited the coffee shop and, turning the corner, saw Julian waiting for me by the car. I quickened my pace and asked him, "Why are you here?" Julian pointed to the small cake in the car. I was thinking of visiting the film set. Just then, Ethan's car drove past us. Julian composed himself and continued, "Then I found you weren't at the film set. And I thought you had run off again." I pretended not to hear, seeing his awkward expression, wanting to ask but not speaking for a long time. I put down my fork and gestured for him to look behind. "I just went to that coffee shop. The owner is quite interesting." Seeing me voluntarily explain, Julian, the big awkward guy, quirked the corner of his mouth. Then, afraid I would see, pretended to look at the scenery outside the window. I continued to explain, "Just now, Ethan and his stepmother, that crazy pair, wanted to pull a framing stunt on me, but the owner kept offering security footage and delivering perfectly timed zingers. So I didn't even need my recording." Thinking of the owner's performance, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Ha ha ha. Those two are probably fuming right now. Julian's face suddenly darkened after hearing this. "He still dares to frame you." I quickly spooned some cake into his mouth and explained the whole situation from beginning to end. "Don't worry. I was 8 feet away from her, and I had the recording on. She can't frame me. After so many years of reading melodramatic stories, I can handle a situation like this." Recalling his anxiousness just now, I couldn't help but sigh. Based on my years of reading melodramatic stories, that child probably isn't Richard's. Otherwise, he wouldn't have so abruptly sought me out just to pin the blame on me. Luckily, I ran fast and had no intention of giving Ethan another chance. Otherwise, I really would have become a pawn in some stepmother drama trope. Julian also reached a conclusion, despicably wicked. I fed him the last spoonful of cake. "We can mock them later. You should go home first. I still have scenes to shoot today, and I might finish very late." Julian had no intention of going home. "No, I'll go to the film set with you." Seeing me raise an eyebrow, he uncomfortably added, "I'm good friends with the director, so I'll go chat with him." I didn't think much of it. Back at the film set, Julian and I went to say hello to the director together. Julian extended his hand first. "Director, long time no see." The director was stunned for a long time before. Flattered, he extended his hand. "Ah, Mr. Julian, long time no see." Julian nodded, exchanged a few more pleasantries with the director, then accompanied me to touch up my makeup. We had only walked a few steps when we heard the director muttering, "Strange. I've never met Mr. Julian before." Julian cleared his throat, trying to cover up his lie. "He's old. His memory isn't good." I didn't expose him, merely nodding in agreement. However, Julian kept explaining, "I really know him. If you don't believe me, ask him." Though he said this, his eyes nervously darted elsewhere. I linked my arm through his, my face full of sincerity. "I believe you." Julian was about to say more, but I pulled him by the arm. "Come on. Shooting is about to start. After one scene was wrapped, Sarah, my co-star, and I walked towards the resting area. She looked at Julian not far away and suddenly asked me, "Where are you two planning to go for your honeymoon?" It was then that I remembered such a thing. Our marriage had been rushed, and I initially kept thinking of divorcing Julian. Therefore, we hadn't discussed wedding or honeymoon plans. After thinking for a moment, I replied, "We haven't decided yet." She nodded and then continued to ask, "So, when are you planning to leave?" As she spoke, we had already reached Julian. Just as I was about to answer, she smiled and waved at me. "I'm heading back to the car. I won't disturb your private time." Watching her walk away, I turned to Julian. I saw Julian staring at me, unblinkingly, with a complex expression. After a long moment, he spoke with great difficulty. "Where are you going this time? You're married. Are you still going to leave?" Seeing his sadness, I realized he had misunderstood and hurriedly explained, "I'm not leaving. She just asked when we planned to go for our honeymoon." Before I could finish, Julian suddenly pulled me into his arms. His voice was muffled. "A psychic told me I'd die if my wife ran off too." I chuckled. "Die of anger again?" Julian held me even tighter. "Die of crying." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and patted his back soothingly. The scene of Julian and me embracing was quickly edited into the behind-the-scenes footage and released. Fans initially wanted to boycott this, but upon watching further, they found there wasn't much footage of the series' costumes or content. Only the scene of Julian and me embracing. Comments immediately flooded in, declaring they were shipping us. Real couples are the best to ship. Mr. Julian is even staying at the film set to watch her film. Boo-hoo-hoo. I originally thought my sister just married some random guy out of spite, but now that I think about it, Mr. Julian is clearly the male lead who just showed up late. Isn't he? This hug is so sweet. No. I have to screenshot this and show it to Ethan. Ha 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 ha. You've taken all the fun. Someone set an example, and netizens followed suit, screenshotting the embrace and flooding Ethan's Twitter comments. His new series promotional tweets comment section was entirely filled with photos of Julian and me embracing. Ethan was enraged but didn't know how to retaliate. He could only furiously delete tens of thousands of comments late at night. As he deleted, photos continuously flooded the comments section. In the end, Ethan broke down and closed the comments section. Julian wasn't satisfied. He even paid to make our flaunting our affection a trending topic. Watching him hang up the phone, I couldn't help but tease. "You were almost falling apart this afternoon. How do you have energy now?" Julian enjoyed the netizens' comments about shipping us and didn't feel embarrassed. Instead, he squeezed my fingers. "I'm always at risk of falling apart, so be careful." Just as we were playfully bickering, Julian's phone rang. He released my hand and called out, "Dad." My smile froze. Julian casually responded a few times and quickly hung up. Almost the second he hung up, he sensitively detected my change in mood. "What's wrong?" I subtly pressed my trembling hand. Smiling at him, "Nothing." "What did your dad just say?" "He said his birthday is next month and he wants us to go back." Julian placed his phone on the table, staring intently into my eyes. "Emma, you seem very scared." Before I could answer, he had already guessed something from my expression. "Did you suddenly run away that year because of him?" In the deathly silence, I nodded, watching grip my hand tightly, as if afraid I would disappear again the next second. I thought, I should just tell him everything. I didn't want to abandon Julian again. I squeezed his hand back, trying to force a smile. "That year, you were on a business trip, and I went to the film set for an audition. William happened to be there, and then it was a very old plot twist. He offered me money to leave you." Saying this, I turned my face away, afraid my tears would fall. In fact, Julian's father had specifically come for me that time. The so-called audition was just something he had arranged to humiliate me. I had just finished performing the required scene for the audition, waiting for the director to speak. Julian's father chuckled lightly, scrutinizing me from head to toe. "Your acting is quite good. No wonder you've got Julian wrapped around your finger." His malice and contempt were undisguised, hitting me hard in an instant. I straightened my back, staring directly at him. "Thank you for acknowledging my acting, but my personal life seems irrelevant to today's audition." Hearing the people around bowing and scraping, calling him Mr. Julian, it was easy to guess who this person was. Julian's father looked at me with a half-smile, then whispered something to the director beside him. The director quickly understood, casually pointed to a few other actors who had come for the audition, and gave me a piece of the script for them to act with me. The specific plot was blurry in my mind due to my deliberate forgetting. I only remembered stacks and stacks of cash being thrown at me. Finally, he looked down at me. Break up with my son. And the female lead of this series will be yours. An unprecedented humiliation swept over me. I used every terrible word I could think of to retort. But he merely glanced at me dismissively. He just doesn't want to be the one to say goodbye. Don't think you're special. After saying that, he left. Perhaps it was a displacement of anger. But I blocked all of Julian's contact information. And before he returned from his business trip, I moved out of the house and flew overnight to another city. Julian naturally tried to contact me, but I had blocked every number. I didn't know what to say if I answered the phone. Should I accuse him of his father's humiliation? Or should I question why he didn't answer his phone? Later, as I gradually made a name for myself in the industry, Julian found me again. He tried every possible way to meet me, but I refused him with various excuses. Julian seemed to review his behavior before I left, little by little, sending me a letter of self-reflection every few days. I didn't reply, and he gradually stopped sending them. The last time I received a message was the day Ethan stood me up. That day, from the moment he saw me, Julian held my hand tightly and never let go. After getting our marriage certificate, I would bring up divorce with Julian whenever I had a chance. But every time I finished speaking, his eyes would redden, looking like he was about to break. Over time, I stopped bringing it up. Tonight's phone call brought back memories I had deliberately tried to forget. I came back to my senses and saw Julian with reddened eyes, his voice choked with sobs, apologizing frantically and helplessly. I'm sorry. I had trouble with a contract that day and turned off my phone. I didn't expect him to take that opportunity to find you. I later asked everyone on the film set, and they all said you left because you failed the audition. I knew that wasn't it, but no one told me. The set staff, instructed by Julian's father, naturally kept their mouths shut, not revealing a single word. Julian knew there was more to the story but couldn't uncover it no matter how hard he tried. I tried to sound casual, just make sure we don't meet him again in the future. You can shield me from him. Julian had already composed himself. No, you're coming to the birthday party with me. His expression was too serious. I pushed him away. You want a picture-perfect family reunion? Then let's get divorced. No matter what. I didn't have the magnanimity to let bygones be bygones. Julian tightened his grip on my hand and pulled me into his arms. We're going to ruin his birthday party. I was stunned. Huh? Julian tightened his embrace. We're going to return all the wrongs you suffered back to him. Just as I was about to speak, Julian gently bit my shoulder. If you mention divorce again, I'll bite you. He made me laugh from exasperation. Are you a puppy? Julian nodded matter-of-factly. Yep. So on his birthday, just let me bite him to death. For a moment, I didn't know how to respond. My gaze shifted, and I started digging up old grievances. Then you should bite yourself first. When we first got married, you always had a cold face, scaring me so much I couldn't sleep at night. Julian grumbled twice. Well, that's because you kept bringing up divorce and wanting to run away. I didn't understand the connection and frowned at him. Julian's voice softened. You kept bringing up divorce, so I wanted to be tougher. I swore I'd never smile while washing your underwear again, so you'd realize the seriousness of the problem and treat me better. Such severe consequences. From that day on, Julian became noticeably busier. I asked him what he was doing, but he wouldn't say, only telling me to wait to get even. I didn't understand but stopped asking, simply settling into filming at the film set. This day, after a scene was wrapped, I saw Julian sitting in my resting area, fiddling with his phone. I lightened my steps, walked up to him, and swiftly snatched his phone. Julian, why are you here? Julian curled his lips. I got a signal that you missed me, so I came to visit the film set. I scoffed, then sat next to him and looked down at Julian's phone. It was still on the Twitter posting interface. There was a picture of a cake and a drink, with the caption, visiting the film set. I handed him back his phone and reached for the drink on the table, but Julian stopped me. He raised his head slightly, as if anticipating something. I instantly understood. Seeing no one around, I leaned in and kissed him on the corner of his lips. Julian smiled, pulling me into his arms, and reached for the small cake himself. I struggled a bit. There are a lot of paparazzi around here. You should tone it down. Who knew? Julian became even more energetic upon hearing this. That's even better. I love to flaunt our affection. I gave him an annoyed glare and took the cake. I ate a couple of bites, then turned to feed Julian, only to see his chin resting on my shoulder, his breathing already even. I subconsciously held my breath and gently put the cake down. Today's schedule wasn't too packed. I only needed to reshoot a few scenes before I could go home and rest with him. Just as I was mentally reviewing the schedule, Julian woke up. I gripped his hand wrapped around my waist. You should go rest in the car for a bit. I'll be done here soon. Julian yawned, visibly tired. Okay, call me when you're done. He kissed me on the corner of my lips, then turned and got into the car after watching me leave. With in mind, wanting him to get home and sleep early, I performed with utmost focus. My co-stars also didn't want Julian to wait too long for me and tried their best to get it right in one take. With everyone's collective effort, we finished work much earlier than I had planned. I said goodbye to the director and other actors one by one, then quietly opened the car door, fearing I would wake Julian. But I found him holding his laptop in one hand and talking on the phone with the other. I sat beside him, patiently waiting for him to hang up, then handed him water. If you're too busy, don't bother coming to the film set. It's too tiring. Julian closed his laptop and gave me a reassuring smile. It's okay, it's almost over. Seeing that he didn't want to say more, I didn't press the issue. However, for the next period, Julian became even busier. Finally, a week later, I fully understood what Julian had been doing during this time. That day, I was preparing to shoot the last scene to wrap filming, when I heard staff whispering outside. A real-life power struggle? She's so lucky. She became the true Mrs. Vance shortly after getting married, son forcing his father to retire. That's ruthless. I caught the keywords, opened my phone to ask Julian about the situation, and saw a news notification pop up. Vance completes power transfer, potentially entering a new era. It only said that Julian's father announced his retirement and that Julian would be the next CEO of Vance. There were no more detailed contents. So this was Julian's way of getting even for me. First father. Being forced into retirement in his prime was akin to losing half his life. I took a deep breath, pushing these thoughts aside for a moment, and filmed the last scene with the utmost concentration. When the wrap filming cake was brought out, Julian also walked over from a distance, holding flowers. He placed the flowers in my arms and opened his arms to me. Happy wrap filming. Looking at his tired but determined expression, I hugged him. Thank you. The actors around us timely cheered. I blushed and pulled away from Julian's embrace. Julian took my hand and smiled at the director beside him. Director, let's get together sometime soon. The director was stunned again, then nodded with a beaming smile. Yes, definitely. Julian chatted with others for a while longer, then took me to leave the film set. After we had walked some distance, we heard the director muttering strangely again. When did we ever meet? How can he be so forgetful at such a young age? I chuckled. Julian's ears turned red, and he squeezed my fingers. He admitted he has a bad memory. I wasn't making it up. I didn't expose him. He has a bad memory. As soon as we got home, I eagerly asked about the news. Julian briefly explained the situation, then smiled. To him, nothing is more humiliating than being forced to retire. I leaned on his shoulder and said nothing. This outcome was satisfying. But, I looked up at Julian. Julian instantly guessed what was on my mind and tightened his grip on my hand. Don't worry. I don't have any psychological burden. He was busy raising his illegitimate child when I was little, and then he used money to humiliate you when I grew up. He deserves everything he gets. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have nearly become the other man. His frank words startled me into coughing twice. Julian glanced at me, quite relieved. Luckily, Ethan is clueless. Otherwise I would have had to lower my moral standards. I changed the subject. Hey, speaking of Ethan, I wonder how he tried to explain it to Richard later. Julian was very unhappy that I brought up Ethan. He scoffed. I don't know. I poked his shoulder. Don't be mad, Julian. I'm just curious. I wasn't thinking about him. Julian scoffed again. I pretended to lie down and sleep. All right. You go ahead and be angry by yourself for a bit. I'm going to sleep first. Julian lay down with me. A few seconds later, he leaned closer. Pamper me. I closed my eyes, pretending to be asleep, and patted him with one hand dismissively. Don't be angry. Julian wasn't satisfied and kissed me several times on the lips. Not satisfied. Keep pampering me. I opened my eyes and asked him, how do I pamper you? Julian didn't speak. The next second, the blanket blocked out the light. The next morning, I was still trying to sleep in when Julian woke me up. He neatly arranged the makeup, plugged in the curling iron to preheat, and finally stood aside with 2 dresses. I yawned. Not fully awake yet. What are you doing so early? Julian, however, was full of energy. It's William's birthday today. And we said we were going to get even. My sleepiness immediately dissipated by more than half. Are we still going? Julian nodded. Of course. Don't you want to see him ridiculed? I was silent for a minute, then quickly started doing my makeup and hair. Well, Julian and I always managed to be bad together. The old Vance, which should have been bustling with a birthday celebration, now had not a single guest. Julian's father sat in the living room, and the moment he saw Julian and me walk in hand, he coughed repeatedly in anger. You unfilial son. Do you want me to die faster? Julian watched him get angry with a cold gaze, then smirked. Indeed. You should have gone down to apologize to my mom earlier. But then I thought, letting you live like this is much better than letting you disgust my mom down there. He was so angry he couldn't utter a word, but he no longer dared to confront Julian directly. So he directed all his rage at me. I knew it was all her instigating you to do these unfilial things. If only back then, at the mention of back then, Julian immediately tightened his grip on my hand. He said coldly, your current plight is the retribution for you conspiring with your mistress to anger my mom to death, and for humiliating Emma with money. Julian's father clutched his heart but dared not say anything more. Julian had the cake brought in, then shook his head, feeling rather bored. I wanted to make it a bit more festive, but it seems no one cared enough to show up for you. He tossed the box of cash from his hand onto the coffee table. Every month, I'll send someone to deliver money, but we probably won't be coming to see you again before you die. William stared blankly at the box of cash before him. It was as if the scene was replaying the events of that very day. After a long silence, he actually let out a laugh. Julian said nothing more and left with me. Not long after returning from the Vance, I found out I was pregnant. I started turning down most of my work, staying home to rest and take care of my pregnancy. Julian, on the other hand, became increasingly busy, with interviews one after another. Later, he started dry heaving frequently during interviews, and even after several hospital visits. The cause couldn't be found. Speculation ran wild among the public. Some suspected Julian had contracted an incurable disease. Others predicted that Julian's father might regain power. I was terribly worried. So during one of my prenatal checkups, I had Julian get another examination at the hospital. This time, they finally had a conclusion. Seeing the increasing speculation and looking at a listless Julian, I opened my phone and posted on Twitter, he's experiencing severe sympathetic morning sickness since I got pregnant. Sorry to have worried everyone. The moment I posted that tweet, my comment section exploded. OMG, my sister's a mom. Congratulations. Mr. Julian truly loves Emma so much. This couple is moving so fast. Feels like they just registered their marriage yesterday. Haha. Speaking of marriage registration, that reminds me of an old acquaintance. Perhaps netizens, using their old tricks, screenshotted my Twitter post and sent it to Ethan, finding various ways to mock him. Seeing that name, Julian brightened up a bit. Didn't you say you wanted to hear some gossip about him? I just heard something yesterday. My eyes lit up, and I immediately sat up straight. What? Seeing my excitement, Julian pouted, about to become awkward again. I quickly coaxed him. Oh, come on. I just wanted to mock him a little bit with the baby. Julian squeezed my hand and said. His ran off. I rubbed my hands together excitedly, immediately imagining a million words worth of melodramatic plot twists. Julian continued. And she ran off with a huge sum of money. Apparently, she came back specifically for revenge because the Shin family's unfair business practices years ago destroyed her family. The child isn't Ethan's or his father's, which is why she tried to pin the blame on someone else. Oh, and get this. He was even ready to give up his inheritance and elope with his stepmother. But then she ran off by herself, after found out about them. He was so furious he became bedridden. Ethan is being hounded by creditors all day, completely overwhelmed, and hasn't been heard from much. Just as he finished speaking, someone darted out in front of the car. The driver slammed on the brakes, and after Julian and I steadied ourselves, we finally saw who was blocking the car. It was Ethan. He was banging on the car window, his mental state clearly unstable. Emma, let's go get our marriage registered, okay? I didn't mean to stitch you up. She was threatening to kill herself that day. That's why I didn't go to register our marriage. I know I was wrong. I won't be fooled by her again this time. Emma, come down. I can accept your child. Emma. Julian's face darkened, and he coldly instructed the driver. Drive around him. The driver nodded. Ethan was quickly left far behind us. After we got home, heavy rain soon began to fall outside. Julian stayed in the kitchen, making soup for me. while I curled up on the sofa, scrolling through Twitter. Having pushed Ethan far from my mind, I refreshed Twitter again. Ethan's name appeared on the trending topic. It was a video. He was standing downstairs from my apartment building in the pouring rain, crying and laughing, accompanied by repeated apologies. However, netizens showed no sympathy, instead berating him for getting what he deserved. Just as I finished watching the video and was about to exit Twitter, Julian brought the soup over to me, gently wrapped his arms around my waist, and naturally nuzzled my cheek. "What are you watching?" I tapped on the trending topic to show him. Julian pouted, still resorting to a pity play. "It's so disgusting it makes me sick." After saying that, he looked at me again, confirming repeatedly, "You're not falling for his act, are you?" I gave a wry laugh. No, I'm not falling for his act." Julian smiled, not forgetting to add more fuel to Ethan's misery. "I'll buy a trending topic for him to see in a bit." He was true to his word, immediately instructing someone to purchase a trending topic about us flaunting our affection. He also posted a tweet himself. It was a photo of me standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window, cradling my belly and looking at the night view, with the caption, "Me and my whole world." After posting that tweet, he walked over and gently embraced me. I looked up and proactively gave him a kiss on the lips. Then I retweeted his post with the comment, "Hee hee, love you."